All right, good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tony Goodwin, and I'm your 2019 Chamber of Commerce Portsmouth Division Chair. And on behalf of the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce, I take great pleasure in welcoming you to the City of Portsmouth's State of the City. We are very excited to have you all here with us today. This event is held annually in coordination with the City of Portsmouth and the Hampton Roads Chamber to highlight the city's accomplishments and bring you up to date on what's happening in 2019. Speaking for many of you here, we all share a common thread, and that is that we are all part of a world-class region here in southeastern Virginia known as Hampton Roads. The very spot we sit at today was once referred to as the gateway to the world, where rail met sail. Shipping and trade was the backbone of this community known as Portsmouth, as it is still today. This community is also known to forge the foundation of our nation's Navy just down the channel, a little way. And added to that, we support the Navy's elite medical complex, further up the channel to our north. That is, of course, supporting our families of the Navy, of the naval groups. Not to forget that our city is a Coast Guard's community, and we're happy to carry that flag as the official Coast Guard city here in Hampton Roads. I am passionate. I'd like to add that I am passionate about this great city. Our Chamber Board and the entire team at the Hampton Roads Chamber will continue to showcase all that is great about our region, our workforce, and the endless possibilities of collaboration. And Portsmouth is the key location to make that happen. And just as a shameless plug, if you aren't already a Chamber member, please see those great folks out in the hallway at the blue tables and check in and, of course, inquire about membership. We represent all that is best about our business community here in Hampton Roads, and we're the loudest advocates for business. Continue to make history with us where we mean business. For those of you who participate on social media, though, the Chamber will be tweeting from today's event, so follow us on Twitter at #Chamber757 and join in on the conversation by using hashtag PSOC19. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it's my great honor to welcome Mr. Brian Stevens, President and CEO of the Hampton Roads Chamber.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Here you go. Thank you. Well, you got to bring the mic down after Tony. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As Tony said, my name is Brian Stevens, and I got to tell you, it is just a distinct honor, tremendous privilege, and especially on days like today, a great pleasure for me to serve this outstanding region as the President and CEO of the Hampton Roads Chamber. The chamber, by the way, that is unapologetically pro-business. And we strive every day to ensure that there's a pro-business environment right here in Portsmouth, throughout the region, and in fact, we collaborate with others throughout the Commonwealth to ensure that Virginia gains its #1 ranking again as the best places to do business. And it is our honor, again this year, to host the Portsmouth State of the City. On behalf of our Board of Directors, the entire business community, I want to thank Mayor Rowe, I want to thank the City Council, I want to thank the school board, and the entire city staff for their dedicated public service since we held this meeting last year. I'm going to ad-lib a little bit here because I think it's important that I say this now, because I had some fantastic conversations just before we started the event today with our elected officials, many of our elected officials, who, by the way, I'll announce every one of them here after we present the colors. But one of the things that I wanted them to know is how much that we respect and admire them and what they do. We were talking about how difficult it is to legislate, how difficult it is to manage governments, whether at the local, state, or federal level. And my comment to each and every one of them was, if it were easy, Men and women of character, men and women of talent, men and women of tremendous leadership would not be elected into those positions. So on behalf of this chamber, we thank you and we congratulate you for your hard work and efforts. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we go any further in the proceedings, I would ask you all to stand so we can pay tribute to our nation with the presentation of the colors and the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
As they exit the room, ladies and gentlemen, let's give the Portsmouth Police and Fire Honor Guard and Mr. Lavoris Pace, Deputy City Manager, a round of applause for their rendition. And please be seated. Please be seated. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have some special guests, obviously, with us today, and please bear with me because, again, like I said in my opening comments, I think it's important that we recognize our elected officials. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who do not know it, the 73rd Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia will be with us shortly, and he'll be coming up to the head table. So again, he'll be joining us very, very shortly. But we do have with us now the distinguished Congressman from the 3rd Congressional District, Congressman Bobby Scott, sir. We have U.S. Senator Mark Warner's representative to the region, Mr. Drew Lumpkin. Drew. We also have with us representing Congresswoman Elaine Luria, Aaron Carter. Aaron, where are you at? Thank you for being here. At the state level, we have with us several of our legislators. Senator Luis Lucas from the 18th Senatorial District. Senator John Cosgrove from the 14th Senatorial District. Delegate Matthew James from the 80th House District. Delegate Steve Heretick from the 79th House District. And Delegate Cliff Hayes from the 77th House District. We have numerous local elected officials with us. Our host today, the Honorable John Rowe and his lovely wife Carol are with us. We look forward to your presentation earlier. Carol, it's always good to see you. Thank you for coming. The Honorable Wick West from the great city of Chesapeake. The Honorable Kenneth Alexander from the city of Norfolk. And the Honorable Bobby Dyer from the great city of Virginia Beach. I'd like to, at this time, introduce the Portsmouth City Council, and I believe most of them are sitting over to my right. Vice Mayor Lisa Lucas Burke. Councilman Paul Battle. Councilman Nathan Clark. Councilman Shannon Glover. Councilman Bill Moody. And Councilwoman Elizabeth Simmons. Thank you all for all you do. I'd like to introduce at this time the Portsmouth School Board members who do so much for our children here in Portsmouth and throughout the region. First of all, the Superintendent, Dr. Eli Bracey III. I believe they're back here. Yes, table 32. Miss Angela Allen. Mr. DeAndre Barnes. Mr. Claude Parent. Miss Tamara Shoemake. And Miss Costello Williams. Let's give the school board a big round of applause. I also would like to thank Dr. Lydia Pettis Patton, the city manager. Yeah. The city treasurer, Mr. Paige Cherry. Commissioner of Revenue, Mr. Frankie Edmonds. And the clerk of the circuit court, the Honorable Cynthia Morrison. And I'd also like to thank the entire city staff. You know, I tell people that, yes, the city staff. You know, like I said, running any government, to include a city government, is very challenging, very difficult, and these professionals, in my opinion, do an outstanding job. And then to add on to that, the size and complexity of running an event like this, and I know that they were involved in it as well as my staff, so let's give both the Hampton Roads Chamber staff and the city staff a round of applause. From the city of Suffolk, we're honored to have Councilman Lou Ward with us. Councilman. From the city of Norfolk, we're honored to have Councilwoman Andrea McClellan with us. From the city of Virginia Beach, we're honored to have Councilman Aaron Rouse. And from the city of Chesapeake, we have Ella Ward. Dr. Ella Ward is with us. Thank you, Doctor. And if I missed any elected officials, I apologize, but I also want to recognize what I call regional community leaders that I have the distinct honor and privilege to work with every day as we come together to try to drive our economy, ensure we have a workforce that meets the needs of the business community, and we look at the infrastructure that supports the quality of our life in the business community here in Hampton Roads. So it's my pleasure to work with these gentlemen literally every single day of the week. I'd like to introduce Mr. Bob Crum, the Executive Director of the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission and Transportation Planning Organization. Bob. Mr. Kevin Page, the Executive Director of the Hampton Roads Transportation Accountability Commission. Kevin, thank you. Admiral Quade Quigley, the Executive Director of the Hampton Roads Military and Federal Facilities Alliance. Steve Herbert, the President and CEO of the Hampton Roads Economic Development Alliance. Steve. And sitting with Steve back here is Mr. Jim Spoor, the President and CEO of Reinvent Hampton Roads. Jim. I just want to publicly thank you, gentlemen, for all the hard work that you do every day, again, to help Hampton Roads be the best place in the entire United States to live and to work and to raise families. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd certainly be remiss if I didn't introduce the chairman of the board for the Hampton Roads Chamber, Mr. Martin Joseph, who is sitting over here. Martin, CEO of 360 IT. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to recognize and thank our generous sponsors. Our series presenting sponsor is Town Bank. You'll hear from Robin Cook here in a minute. Thank you very much, Robin. Our series platinum sponsor is Bon Secours Virginia Health Systems. And Tom, thank you for being here. We appreciate all that Bon Secours does. Building the Future sponsor, the Franklin Johnston Group. We want to thank them. Our series gold sponsor is Geico. We're so appreciative of all that Geico does. Our series silver sponsors, and we have several of them, AB&B Federal Credit Union, Brightview, Hampton Roads Workforce Council, Langley Federal Credit Union, Norfolk State University, and I know we have Norfolk State University's president, Dr. Stith, with us today. Thank you, sir, for being here. We're appreciative also of Optima Health, Traffics, and Verizon. Our host sponsor today is Renaissance Portsmouth Norfolk Waterfront Hotel. Mr. Tony Pinto and his crew just had a great job. Our series radio sponsor is Sinclair Communications, and I saw Julie in the room earlier. Julie, thank you so much for all you do. Our series magazine sponsor is Virginia Business Magazine. Is Bernie Niemeyer in the room? Bernie, there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Bernie Niemeyer, the publisher of the best business magazine in the state. So if you don't subscribe to it, please see Bernie's folks out in the lobby. And our nonprofit media sponsor is WHRO, and I know Bert is with us today. Bert, thank you so much, Bert, for all that WHRO does. I also want to thank all of our program, exhibit, and table sponsors for supporting today's event. Their names are listed on the back of today's program. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving all of our sponsors a big round of applause. And at this time, I would like to call on Mr. Robert Earls, pastor of St. John's Baptist Church, to provide us an invocation over our meal. Pastor?
Let us pray. Almighty God, creator of all mankind, we humbly petition your sustaining mercy and grace, your strength and power over this gathering. Please bless our nation, our state, our governor, lieutenant governor, our attorney general, state legislatures. Father, bless our mayor, our city council members, our city manager, the public service and business leaders in this community. As we convene on this blessed day, we endow us with godliness, honesty, truth, knowledge, wisdom, and integrity. I ask that your blessings would rest also upon their families that are represented here. Protect them in their daily travels and activities. Guide them in their daily responsibilities. Endow us with sound judgment in personal and business decisions, and on behalf of every citizen in our beloved cities, both present and future. May the spirit of unity be ever in our thoughts and efforts as you guide us each day. I also ask that all who has voice and gathered in this place with a sincere consciousness towards the divine principle of the golden rule, to do and speak unto others as we would have them to do and speak unto us. I offer this most earnest prayer and ask your blessings upon the food which has been so graciously prepared for us. We ask these requests in the precious name of the God I serve and his blessed Son. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Earls. We appreciate that prayer very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your lunch. Lunch will be served, and we'll get back with you shortly to introduce Mayor Rowe. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm quite aware that most of you are still enjoying your lunch. Please continue to do so, but we're being respectful of everybody's time. We're going to go ahead and get the program started again. At this time, I would like to ask Robin Cook, President of Town Bank for Portsmouth and Suffolk, to come forward to provide the mayor's introduction. Robin?
afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here today to welcome you to the Portsmouth State of the City Address. Town Bank is honored to again be the presenting sponsor for the series of 5 State of the City addresses. Each year, these events bring together hundreds of businesses and civic and community leaders from across Hampton Roads. Town Bank shares the vision of the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce to help businesses succeed, drive regional economic growth, and improve life for the residents in our communities. Town Bank opened in 1999, which means this year we are excited to be celebrating our 20th anniversary. It's interesting to look back at what was going on 20 years ago in our world. Google was a brand new company. The Titanic was the #1 movie. Nokia was the top-selling cell phone. And if you had a Nokia, you were carrying it in one of those large tote bags. The first Apple iMac came out. VHS was the way you watched your favorite movie, and that was after you went to your neighborhood Blockbuster and rented it. The MP3 player was all the rage. The first Harry Potter book was released, and Furbies were the most popular toy. It's funny to think about that. Meanwhile, right here in Portsmouth, Virginia, the dream of a hometown bank was taking shape. Our goal has always been to create a great community asset. It was all about building relationships, friendships, and bringing people together. We wanted to create a strong sense of belonging and to make people feel special when they came into a town bank. We have come a long way since those early days. Today, Town Bank has 41 branches across Hampton Roads, Richmond, and North Carolina, with our most recent branch opening in Greenville. But it all started right here in Portsmouth. Over the years, we have continued our commitment to supporting hundreds of local organizations through donations, sponsorships, and grants. I am proud to say that since our founding in 1999, the Town Bank and the Town Bank Foundation, we have contributed over $57 million back into our communities. Today, it is my honor to introduce Mayor John Rowe. John was elected mayor of the city of Portsmouth in November 8, 2016. He grew up in Portsmouth, was educated in Portsmouth Public Schools, and graduated from our own Woodrow Wilson High School. He went on to attend the Virginia Military Institute, and after graduating from VMI, he served 5 years in the U.S. Army as a commissioned officer in the Army Infantry Branch. John has nearly 4.5 decades of public administration experience in Virginia, with 3 decades in local government management within Hampton Roads region, and nearly a decade in public higher education as a college vice president for finance and administration at VMI. During his career, he helped create the Tidewater Transportation District Commission, now HRT, and the Southeastern Virginia Public Service Authority. As chairman of the former Southeastern Planning District Commission, John was part of the leadership that brought about the consolidation of the Peninsula Planning District Commission. Currently, John is the vice chairman of the Hampton Roads Transportation Planning Organization, and he also serves as a board member for the Hampton Roads Transit, the Hampton Roads Transportation Accountability Commission, the Hampton Roads Economic Development Alliance, the Hampton Roads Military and Federal Facilities Alliance, the Elizabeth River Project, and the Hampton Roads Workforce Council. It's a lot of work. John and his wife Carol have 2 children and 3 grandchildren. Please join me in welcoming our mayor, Mayor John Rowe.
Well, thank you all, and thank you, Robin, for that great and maybe I should say modest introduction. And I want to welcome everybody to the wonderful city of Portsmouth. And to get right to the point of today's event, I want to tell you that the state of the city of Portsmouth is excellent. It's well positioned. We are well positioned for success, and we're well positioned for the future. And as I begin my remarks, I want to thank some important people. First, to the citizens of Portsmouth, thank you for allowing me to serve you as mayor. It's so humbling and flattering to serve my hometown. And to our faith-based leaders, to our businesses, to our nonprofit partners, and our community volunteers, thank you for your continued and strong commitment to our city. And to our Congressman, Bobby Scott, we're proud of you, and thank you for representing us in Washington. Bobby understands Hampton Roads, and he understands Portsmouth. He's a strong voice for us in D.C. And to our General Assembly delegation, thank you for your tireless and energetic work during the 2019 session of the General Assembly as you represented the citizens of Portsmouth and the city. You did a great job, outstanding job. You brought home the bacon. And to my city council colleagues sitting at this table, and to our city manager, city attorney, city clerk, city assessor, thank you for your service to our great community. It's my privilege to work in partnership with you as we move forward. And Brian, thank you, and thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event again this year. But I especially thank Brian and the Chamber for creating and maintaining a pro-business atmosphere, climate here in Hampton Roads. Thank you for what you do. Now, there are 2 Portsmouth businesses that have received distinct recognition this year that I'd like to identify so that we can applaud their accomplishments. And the first is Simmons Incorporated, whose founder is Dr. Johnny Garcia. And Johnny's in the back. Will you stand up, please? Johnny's company was honored by the Chamber as the 2018 Hampton Roads Small Business of the Year. And then to add to that 2018 honor, the Chamber has selected Johnny as the 2019 Entrepreneur of the Year. And if you don't know Simmons, let me tell you, it is an awesome, cutting-edge technology firm that's located in the Old Dominion Tri-City Center in Portsmouth. Let's give Johnny another grand round of applause. And the other company is Special Events Virginia. And the Chamber has selected Special Events Virginia as the 2019 Small Business of the Year in Portsmouth. The co-owners are Bob Hanbury and Mike Fitzwater. Way to go, Bob and Mike. And Mike, will you stand up? Now the Chamber is going to honor Johnny and Bob and Mike at 11:30 on Thursday, the 2nd of May at the Chesapeake Conference Center with an awards ceremony. So I hope that all of you will join me there to help celebrate their accomplishments. Let's give them another round of applause. Now, it's pretty difficult to see everybody here because of the lights, but I do want to get to know you better. So I think a good way to start, how many of you have attended or did attend either my 2017 or 2018 State of the City address, if you'll raise your hand? Brian, that looks about 40%. And I'm glad that you came back, otherwise we'd have a small crowd. But for those of you who have attended in the past, you know my style. Instead of giving a speech from this lectern, I like to make it more of a conversation with you. And today, what I want to do is discuss the realities of what makes Portsmouth a great place to live, a great place to work, and a great place to play. Not only for the here and now, but for the future, and especially the future. Oh, the future. We all have real difficulties in trying to determine what lies ahead for us. And it would really be neat if we could have a crystal ball like this, where we could look into it and clearly see the future. In fact, I could use it right now, because I would look into this crystal ball to find out who's going to win Monday night's championship game. Really, let me tell you why. Our oldest grandson, Nick, who lives in Northam, he and I have a bet. And the loser has got to wash the other's vehicle. And let me tell you, his truck is pretty dirty, and so I need to know how much soap I need to buy. But putting this crystal ball aside, I am pulling for UVA. Go Hoops! Now, a crystal ball like this would really be useful for cities also, to try to predict the future, because that can be a risky business, pretty difficult for a city. But I don't need this crystal ball to predict Portsmouth's future. The best way to predict Portsmouth's future is to create that future now. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're creating the city's future now. And I'll explain. I'll give you some background. As you know, Portsmouth is a very historic city. It's an urban city with a population that's around 96,000. But we have a small town feel. That feel of friendliness, that feel of neighbors caring for each other. You get that feeling in Portsmouth. Also, when you look at the map of the region, Portsmouth is in the geographic center of Hampton Roads. In fact, the smart people who try to figure out where population centers are have put for the entire region, the population center is right off of Craney Island in Portsmouth. Portsmouth is on one of the most historic rivers in our country, certainly in our state, the Elizabeth River. In fact, we are at the mouth of the Elizabeth River. And we're also at the mouth of one of the world's largest and finest harbors, Hampton Roads. And so geographically, our name is very appropriate, the mouth of the port. And I mentioned the ports. And you probably are aware that there are three major economic drivers for the Hampton Roads region: tourism, the Department of Defense, and the ports. And today we have John Reinhardt. John, will you stand? John is the executive director. John is the executive director and chief executive officer of the Virginia Port Authority. And as you know, the Virginia Port Authority has 4 marine terminals, facilities in Hampton Roads. Newport News Marine Terminal, which is a roll-on, roll-off, break bulk. Norfolk International Terminal, big container port. That's 2 of the 4. The remaining 50% is in Portsmouth. Portsmouth Marine Terminal and Virginia International Gateway. Now, John is going to give his State of the Port address this coming Thursday, April the 11th, at the Norfolk Waterside Marriott. And if you attend, and by the way, John, I'm going to be out of town, so I'm sorry to miss that. But if you attend, John will probably tell you that the Port of Virginia constitutes 10% of the state's economy. 1 in every 10 jobs is either directly or indirectly related to the ports. That's not too shabby. Now, in 2017, I told you that the largest ship ever to call on the East Coast up until that time came to Virginia International Gateway on May 8th, 2017. It was the Costco Development, a ship that is 1,200 feet long, 158 feet wide, and get this, carried 13,092 containers. Now, if you were to take those containers off and start stacking them end to end, going south, the last container would be at Elizabeth City, North Carolina. That's a lot of containers. Well, a couple of months later, in August 28th, 2017, the Theodore Roosevelt, another container ship, came. It was even bigger than the Costco Development. It carried 14,400 containers. Let's go west this time. You take these containers off, start putting them end to end, going west. You go through Portsmouth, Suffolk, get to Franklin. Let's take a left. The last container is at Murfreesboro, North Carolina. That's a lot of containers. But my point is that ships of this size are calling routinely and frequently at Virginia International Gateway. Now, you're probably saying, John, why are you telling me all this old news? Well, the next time that you're in your car and a tractor trailer passes you with one of these 40-foot containers, I want you to try to imagine how many wristwatches are in that container. There's not enough shelf space in our Walmarts, and our Walgreens, and our Targets to display and sell all these watches. So where do they go? They come into the Virginia International Gateway, and they go to places like Louisville, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Ohio, Columbus, St. Louis, and Chicago. They go to the heartland the heartland of America. And so Virginia International Gateway is the gateway to the heartland of America. And by definition, Portsmouth is the gateway to the heartland of America. Now, this is an important fact. And it's so important that the Commonwealth of Virginia, 3 years ago, decided to invest $320.5 million into Virginia International Gateway to double its capacity. Now, this is no small amount of money when you consider the fact that when Maersk built and opened Virginia International Gateway in 2007, that the cost was $500 million. So this is a huge investment. And the project consists of lengthening the wharf, increasing the stack yard for the containers, adding more cranes, and increasing the size of the rail yard. And this was to be a 3-year project, a construction project. And I want to give kudos to John and his project management team because he's brought this project to the finish line 6 months early and under budget. Way to go, John. Now, let me talk about 2 elements of the project, because what is important if you can't get the boxes off the ship and away from the port? You're not much. And so let me tell you about 2 elements of this project. In January of this year, 4 of the largest cranes in the world, certainly in the United States, came into the Hampton Roads Harbor. These are 4 ship-to-shore cranes that stand 170 feet tall, and they're now installed on the Vig waterfront. These cranes have a boom that stretches out 226 feet. That's the length of 26 containers. Visualize this. Visualize 26 tractor-trailer trucks parked parallel to each other. Crane on one side, this boom goes out, picks up number 26. That's pretty awesome. I don't understand the mechanics or the physics of that. But we have 12. Now, when that boom is raised vertically, the height of that crane is 446 feet high. That's taller than any skyscraper that we have in Portsmouth, Norfolk. In fact, the tallest building, Kenny, is in Norfolk, and that's Dominion Towers, and it's only 341 feet. And so we have these skyscrapers on the waterfront of Vig that serve as the gateway to the heartland of America. Now on the rail, 37%, 37, of all the cargo that comes in or out of the port comes by rail. That's a higher percentage than any other port on the East Coast. And what this project is doing is it's increasing the rail yard to 24 acres. Mentally have this picture. That's 19 football fields. It's adding 24,739 feet of track. Now, that's about 5 miles. That's the distance from here to Ward's Corner. All this is going to be on our port. Now, this is important because it makes our port very, very competitive. It's the most competitive, in my opinion, and I'm going to claim this, the most competitive port on the East Coast. This is an important project. It's a big deal for international trade. It's a big deal for the United States. It's a big deal for the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's a big deal for Hampton Roads, and a special big deal for Portsmouth. It's part of our name, Portsmouth. And now that I've told you about the importance of the port and the economic benefits that it has on our nation and our Commonwealth, I want to give you some breaking news. And we were so honored this morning to have Governor Ralph Northam come and announce a new project in Portsmouth. We call it Project COLD, and I'll spell that C-O-L-D, not C-O-A-L. And I'm going to ask Governor Northam to come to the lectern to tell you what the announcement was this morning. And, you know, one of the interesting things that a mayor has to do is to introduce a governor from time to time. But Governor Northam really needs no introduction because he's been our neighbor. He's been our friend. He's from area code 757. His DNA contains 757. And if you don't know, he's been an Army doctor treating wounded soldiers from Operation Desert Storm. He's a pediatric neurologist. He's been a business owner. He's represented this area in the state senate. He's been our lieutenant governor. And I'd be remiss if I left out this. He attended one of the best. Why are you guys laughing? One of the best undergraduate schools in Virginia, Virginia Military Institute. Let's welcome our 73rd governor.
You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Please be seated. Good afternoon. It is indeed great to be back here in Portsmouth. John, thank you so much for your comments and your kind introduction. I'll tell you, it is good being back in 757. This is what I call home, and have spent a lot of time in Portsmouth and watched it grow over the years. Reminiscent, I used to see patients at Portsmouth Naval Hospital. Our program, Edmark, which is our pediatric hospice in Hampton Roads, is headquartered right there on London Street. And John, in order for good things to happen in great cities, it takes great leadership. And you're one of those leaders, and thanks for all you do for the city of Portsmouth. Well, I hope your all's brackets are doing well. I got off to a little bit of a slow start. When I went to fill my bracket out, I put the school that I really thought would go all the way, that would win the Final Four. I put the Virginia Military Institute. And then someone said, well, Ralph, they're not even in the bracket this year. So anyway, but there's always next year, right? But you know, we have a lot to be proud of here in the Commonwealth of Virginia because we had 5 teams go to the NCAA bracket. And I don't know about you, but I'll be watching the TV this weekend, and I'll be rooting for the University of Virginia, who's going to bring home the prize. So I hope you all have a good weekend, or I hope you all are supporting the University of Virginia as well. So as we say, go Hoos. But I will tell you the timing of this visit worked out well, because I have spent the morning in Portsmouth for an economic development announcement. Preferred Freezer Services, one of the largest public refrigerated warehousing companies in the world, will invest $60 million to build a 200,000 square foot cold storage warehouse here in the city of Portsmouth. Let's give them a hand. This project will create 60 new jobs here in the Hampton Roads region. In addition to those jobs, Preferred Freezer's new operation will give new life to a formerly vacant site. The company already operates in the city of Chesapeake, and its latest expansion demonstrates a strong commitment to investment and job creation right here in Hampton Roads and our Commonwealth. I'm always glad that when I participate in an announcement about new jobs and new investment, I always say I want Virginia to be a place where everyone, no matter who you are or where you're from, has access to opportunity for good health, a good education, and a good job. And when people ask me, they say, Ralph, what is your top priority as the governor of the Commonwealth? It is for Virginia to be the #1 state for business and workers. And if we continue to work together, we will be there. Our unemployment right now is at 2.9%. It's one of the lowest unemployments east of the Mississippi. And that didn't happen without a lot of teamwork. And I have told people all along, if we continue to work together, we will soon be back to #1. Here in Portsmouth and the Hampton Roads area, you have an impressive labor force and access to critical infrastructure like the Port of Virginia. We have invested, as John said, a significant amount of resources in our port. We're dredging the harbors to 55 feet so that we can accommodate the larger ships coming out of the Panama Canal. And I want to thank John Reinhardt for your leadership in the port. Please give John another round of applause. For Preferred Freezer, proximity to a port was a crucial factor in locating here in Portsmouth. The port's impact on economic development in our Commonwealth cannot be overstated. So I hope to be back for more economic development announcements. I want Virginia to get back to being the #1 state for business, and creating economic opportunity through jobs is an important part of that. I'm glad to be here with all of you today for that announcement and for this update on the state of the city of Portsmouth. I will tell you that economic development is a team effort, and we have a great team, and I look forward to continuing to work with all of you. Thank you for having me here today, and God bless all of you.
Our 73rd governor. And thank you, sir. I want to make sure that the Portsmouth School Board got served. I know that one of your table. And would you all stand up? I want to thank you for the school board and its chairman, Claude Parent, for your leadership in guiding our school system to excellence. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Preferred Freezer. Everybody that's had a hand in this room and getting this to the finish line, please stand up, if you would. Good. $60 million. I was asked this morning, what does that mean? Besides the Maersk investment, this is the largest investment in Portsmouth in anybody's memory. And creating 60 jobs that will pay on the average of $50,000 a year is not too shabby. And this is a company that's going to build and be open by June of next year. 200,000 square foot freezer, 6 stories high. You won't be able to miss it off of I-164. And I was talking with Brian Beatty. Brian, are you here? He's the president of Preferred Freezers. Get this, on the hottest day of the year at the loading dock, the temperature is going to be 38 degrees. Now, 38 degrees. You step inside, and it's going to be -5 degrees. So bring your overcoat. These are going to be really cool jobs. And it's a perfect example of what happens when you have a dream team with the governor and the governor's office, the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, the Virginia Port Authority, the Hampton Roads Economic Development Alliance, the Portsmouth Port and Industrial Commission, working together to expand our economy and to create jobs. And I would like to thank our Director of Economic Development, Robert Moore, for his effort and his team and his leadership. Now, that $320 million investment here in Portsmouth, what else has happened in the last 2.5 years? Well, another $210 million worth of private sector investments have been made in Portsmouth during the same period of time. So do the math. More than $500 million has been invested in Portsmouth for projects over the last 2.5 years. That's not too shabby. We're the smallest city land area in Hampton Roads at 30 square miles. And when you take away our land that cannot be developed because it's tax exempt, which equals 43%, this is pretty awesome. And let me tell you, this type of development doesn't take place by chance. The private sector is not going to invest in a city that it does not believe it's got good government, good leadership, and the future is bright. So I want to thank my colleagues on City Council for your leadership and staying the course and just creating a great government here in Portsmouth. I want to thank Dr. Patton and her leadership team. We have the reputation of a place that you can invest in and make money. Now, I've told you that Portsmouth is the gateway to the heartland of America. But let me tell you about how Portsmouth is another gateway. A digital gateway, a gateway to the internet of the future. The Portsmouth City Council has decided to become a smart city. Smart in both the availability of technology and its application. Now, I've watched some of you in this room, and a good number of you have taken your smartphones out and discreetly looked at them under the table because you didn't want to offend me by not giving me your full attention. But I'm not offended. I get it. We're a society that craves information. We crave data. And we now know in Portsmouth that the new currency is data. It's data that's going to drive decisions. It's data and the instant access to knowledge that's going to drive the future. And so let's talk about how Portsmouth is going to apply that technology. Now, you're probably aware of the 4 subsea fiber cables that are coming ashore at Virginia Beach. 2 of the 4 are already there. A cable from Spain and a cable from South America. And then 2 more will come, one from France and one from South Africa. And they've come ashore near Camp Pendleton. And you might say, well, why Virginia Beach? Well, it's location. If you go further south to the Outer Banks, you end up with all those terrible shoals out there in the Atlantic Ocean, so it's difficult to lay cable. If you go further north, you come up to Virginia's eastern shore and the Barrier Islands, and then you got to cross the Chesapeake Bay. And the goal is to get as close to Ashburn, Virginia, as possible. Anybody know where Ashburn, Virginia is? Okay, there are a couple. They would tell you, there are maybe 3 or 4 of you. Ashburn is a community that's about 6 miles southeast of Leesburg in Loudoun County, Virginia. But why Ashburn? Well, it's the place that 72% of all the world's internet traffic and data goes through. And so it's really important for these cables to be able, this fiber cable, to get to Ashburn. And Ashburn happens to be about 280 fiber miles from here. Now, what's really cool is that the Hampton Roads cities have all gotten together to build a ring, a fiber ring, around Hampton Roads. And this ring will be built in 3 stages. Phase 1 will be the 5 south side cities of Portsmouth and Norfolk and Virginia Beach and Chesapeake and Suffolk. Phase 2 is the peninsula. And phase 3 are those localities that are west of Suffolk. But I want to tell you what we're going to do with that fiber when it comes to Portsmouth. When it comes to Portsmouth, and it's going to come through the Midtown Tunnel, we're going to build an internal fiber ring inside Portsmouth that will be 55 miles in circumference. It's already been engineered and designed. We have secured the contractor. The contract will be signed sometime this month, and it will cost all in, the fiber and the electronics, $10 million. But let's talk about the impact that we'll have on Portsmouth. Now, you know, I get really irritated with my computer when it takes a half of a second to respond to me. Well, the speeds on our cable, our fiber, at the low end will be 20 times faster than the fastest internet provider in Hampton Roads today. That's at the low end. At the high end, it's going to be 90 times faster. 90 times faster. This fiber ring will be the basis for our 5G network. We will be the middle mile in the transmission and the gathering of data. Carriers will be able to tie onto our ring and take it the last mile to the consumer, whoever that consumer is, whether it's a citizen or a business or a hospital or whatever. This fiber is the basis for the development of artificial intelligence in Portsmouth. It's the basis for the development and operation of autonomous vehicles, whether they're in the air or on the land or on the water. This fiber ring will connect all of our anchor institutions. It'll, of course, connect all the municipal facilities, all the schools, all the higher education centers, TCC, and the Old Dominion Tri-City campus in Portsmouth. These will be unbelievable speeds, and it will give us all a chance to make better decisions and make our decisions data-driven. That's the future that's going to take place within the next 12 to 18 months, because that's our estimate on the amount of time that it will take to build this ring. So this time next year, hopefully that speed on your smartphone will be so fast that you can't even tell it, because our fiber is going to be in place. It truly is going to make Portsmouth a smart city, a wise choice. Now, let me update you on 3 more activities that you might be interested in. And the first is an announcement that was made late last year. Columbia Care LLC, one of the leading companies in the United States for medical cannabis oil, announced that it was going to open a facility in Portsmouth. And you might know that what the Commonwealth did was they divided the state into 5 regions. And each region would have one facility that would grow the plant, cultivate the plant, process the plant, and produce the medicine, the cannabis oil, and dispense it. So it's going to look like a farm, a pharmacy. And that facility will open this November. And get this, it's going to bring with it 45 jobs, paying an average of $55,000, an average of $55,000. So, in short order, the region just picked up over 100 jobs. Portsmouth just picked up over 100 jobs. The other project I want to bring you up to date on, the origins go back at least to 2006, when the then Portsmouth City Council adopted what we call the Downtown Waterfront Strategic Plan. And an element in that plan was to move the government offices off of our waterfront to someplace else, so that where those offices were could be developed for a higher and better use. And so that was an element in the plan. In February of last year, the Portsmouth City Council provided the funding for the city manager to start the process, the studies about where to locate City Hall, where to locate the police headquarters. Well, in May of last year, we received an unsolicited proposal from Amada Hoffler to do just that, to move City Hall off the waterfront and build a new City Hall downtown, move our police headquarters off the waterfront to a more centrally located location in the city. And you might know Amada Hoffler. They're the same folks that did the town center at Virginia Beach. And I want all the Amada Hoffler team to stand up. Are you here? Can I see? Yeah. All right. Thank you for your belief in Portsmouth. Thank you again. And they're working hard with our management team, our economic development team, to get the contractual documents developed in place. By the way, we call this project the Crawford Gateway Project. The last item that I want to bring you up to date on, for the last 24 years, our Senator Louise Lucas has introduced in the General Assembly annually a bill to allow casino gaming in Virginia. And I'm happy to report, and you know, that her bill was passed this year. She worked hard to build coalitions to get this bill passed. And it comes with some conditions. The bill has got to be reconsidered by the General Assembly in its 2020 session. It's a requirement, too, that the Joint Legislative Audit Review Commission, called JLARC, but that's the group of 25 to 26 professionals which are the gold standard for doing studies in the state. They are required to do a study of the best practices on casino regulations and how to split the tax revenue. And that study's got to be done and completed and given to the General Assembly by December 1 so that the 2020 session of the General Assembly can consider the conclusions and make any tweaking of the legislation that was passed in 2019. The legislation requires a local referendum. And the legislation allows only 5 casinos in the state. A casino in Bristol, Danville, Norfolk, Richmond, and Portsmouth. And so we look forward to that study being completed. We look forward to this going back before the General Assembly in 2020. And we're on track to have the referendum take place sometime between July 1, 2020 and January 1, 2021. So there's a lot going on in Portsmouth. And to summarize what we've been discussing today, I think it's probably best done with this video. Are we ready? All right. Well, please look.
Portsmouth, smart city, wise choice. Want the best return on your business investment? Choose Portsmouth. We are laser focused on business, using technology to increase the city's economic competitiveness, creating a business-friendly city, and improving the quality of life for our residents. Portsmouth offers more accessibility, more workforce, more industry, more technology, more connectivity. The city began work on a state-of-the-art fiber optic network in 2018 and partnered with Hampton Road Cities on a regional connectivity ring. All efforts in becoming a smart city. Smart cities use information and communication technologies to increase efficiency, share information with the public, and improve quality of life and government services. Our broadband network will be a boost to economic development and offer high-speed network integration to anchor institutions in the city, such as hospitals, higher education centers, schools, and libraries. Another pillar of a smart city is smart governance. We've got a plan, and we work it. As part of the Crawford Gateway Strategic Plan, the City Council voted to move government buildings off the waterfront, making prime real estate available for private business development. Every business relies upon connectivity, just as they rely on public utilities. High bandwidth users, such as modeling and simulation, pharma, and research companies need fast and reliable internet congruence. Portsmouth gives you a better return on your investment. We're making smart choices and investing resources to bring new businesses to the city, retain existing ones, and advance workforce initiatives. And in 2018, we generated more than a dozen new businesses and expansions of existing ones, which resulted in $104 million in revenue, added 300 new jobs, and impacted more than 1,100 jobs. Portsmouth, smart city, wise choice. Looking for the ideal business site? We've got one word for you. SAIL, the Site Availability and Information Locator, developed in partnership with Simis Inc. SAIL is a mobile app that makes shopping for land a breeze. It's available in the App Store and Google Play. In addition to the total new business revenue generated in 2018, we realized increased investments in the following industries: retail, warehouse distribution, residential development, manufacturing, hospitality, and healthcare. Whether you're investing in a new business or expanding, make the smart move to Portsmouth. Smart environment, smart people, smart living, smart governance, smart economy. Portsmouth, smart city, wise choice. Call Portsmouth Economic Development at 757-393-8804 or visit us on the web at accessportsmouthva.com.
Didn't you feel the energy in that? Yeah. Isn't it cool? And by the way, while we're talking about the fiber ring, and I don't know if Johnny is still here, but this is so exciting. Johnny's already talking with me about doing a 10,000 square foot, when I say Johnny, I'm talking about Johnny Garcia, a 10,000 square foot data center. And you might think, well, so what? Well, this would be, when done, it would be one of only two this side of Richmond. So it is, in fact, a big deal. So takeaway for today. When you leave here, I want you to think about Portsmouth as being a gateway city, a gateway for international trade, a gateway to the heartland of America, and a digital gateway for Hampton Roads. Now, before we leave, there's a little gift box at each table. It's not big. I would like for one person at the table to open the box and to pass out its contents. Everybody got a box? All right. You do not need a crystal ball to place your bet. Place your bet on Portsmouth. It's a sure thing. Thank you. God bless you.